Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. Don't even give me that Logitech protocol, okay? And I gotta tell you right off the get-go, the more astute viewers amongst you, 0NW204KN, may note I sound a little different, a little rattle in the voice, little hoarseness. It's true. My 8-month streak of no illness has apparently come to an end. Now it's, I'm feeling, I said it on Twitter and I was talking about it with Kate too, but you know, I feel good, but I think like because I talk so much at all times, no matter what, my throat gets like irritated, and then every once in a while, virus, bacteria, evil spirit, malevolent curse, etc., etc. It's an interesting room. Manages to weasel its way in there, and it's like my whole body is fine, but my Adam's apple specifically is like, I want to die. But it's okay. Yo, lucky us. I mean, actually might want to drop poker chip in case we get consumables here. But yeah, I don't want you to think like it's a bad situation. I'm, you know, recording videos against my will or anything like that. I just want you to note if you're like, NL sounds a little different. He sounds a little cooler. Sounds a little more mature. Well, that's a problem, because this is maybe a preview of how I'll sound in like my 50s or 60s. But for now, it's just, I mean, honestly, it's just phlegm. I hate to say it, it's kind of gross, but at the same time, I need to, excuse me, you have to make a very urgent phone call to my probiotic corporation. I gotta tell you, this is an outrage. I have been taking a multivitamin, and I've been taking a probiotic for 6 months. I thought I was supposed to have superpowers. I thought I was supposed to be immune to all illness. Well, you know, believe it or not, it's actually like a... I don't take being sick as a positive thing, but last year in 2018, help me! I got sick probably like once every 2 months. It was really bad. One of those, when I went to my, you know, parents' house, both Kate and I got sick, amongst the sickest I've ever been, for sure. It was really bad. So I knew, like, at some point, it was, even with the fact that I'm living a much healthier life now, I knew I was never gonna be able to be completely immune from sickness ever again. I've kind of been waiting on it, like, you know, once we hit, like, May, I was like, man, I haven't been sick in, like, 6 months. Then, every time I had, like, a little cough, I was like, yeah, it's probably it. It's probably... I'm overdue. So, I don't feel that bad about it. If anything, it's, well, it's not nice. I mean, I don't mean it like that. But, you know, it almost is encouraging. Because, you know, last year, when I was getting sick all the time, I was just like, oh, I guess this is what I could expect, you know, for the rest of my life. Is to just, anytime a child is in the same room as me, I'm going to catch whatever they got on their hands and get sick. Whereas instead, that has clearly not become the case, which is awesome. It turns out, it's not just getting older. It was, you know, lifestyle changes have made a very positive impact, it seems, in the, you know, improving the quality of my immune system. So I'm taking it as a little bit of a positive. And you know, like when I was younger, I didn't cough for comedic effect. I had, you know, I'm a little phlegmatic right now, but taking time off, like right now I should be streaming. You might be like, well, you're still working. And you're right, but like, there's a difference between recording like a couple of videos and then, you know, streaming for 3 hours and then recording a bunch of videos, which is normally what I do on Sunday. This is a very light load. No comment on taking that out of context, but, you know, wait, what was I gonna say? Oh, you know, even last year, I worked through illness constantly. You might remember there was like a 2-week period where I sounded bad in every video. it sucked pretty bad. Now I've reached the point, you know, gradually I've been soft testing this, you know. Hey, what if I play really boring games on stream? Do people still come out? Yup. So now I know, I'm pretty safe. People would rather I take time off and return in good health than force myself to work through illness in a major way, and I appreciate that, you know. It's part of working. Oh my god, my voice. It's part of working in a business that, like, you know, you're kind of like not the first person, but amongst the first people to do it, you know, like, you know, if you're a doctor, more power to you, obviously. Thank you for your service. But simultaneously, you're not like among the first crop of doctors that's ever existed, you know? You might be among the first crop in your field, maybe. I don't know if you're at something really cutting edge, but, you know, I'm not the first YouTuber, but I'm part of that first, you know, generation. Same with streaming, where we're like, I don't know, maybe if you take a day off, you ruin your career. And now, you know, I've been doing it long enough, it turns out that's not the case. Apparently, you basically can't ruin your career. You could say terrible stuff and people will still come out to your show, based on what I've seen from what other people have done. So, you know, that sucks, but in its own way, it's, like, really cool, because it means that I'm a god who's above the law. Obviously, I don't believe that, but... Sorry, I had to focus there. That was bad timing for focus, but Maw of the Void's so good. Alright, let me calf. I'm not even in Dayquil hours, you know? That's how you know I'm not feeling too bad. Pop the world card here. Pop the world card, now I'm sweating. Anyway, all I mean to say is, you know, again, it's nice, you know, you realize over time the community is there for you. I don't think all YouTubers and streamers have a community that's there for them. I mean, it's kind of it's a tough thing to say, you know, but it is like, we inform each other, maybe is a good way to describe it. I think we'll take this for now. And if we can come back, we should. Like, the fact that I very, very, very rarely take unscheduled days off, I should say, I think has helped inform the community that if I'm taking a day off, you know, I don't do it willy-nilly. I find it, you know, Dan and I were actually talking on Twitter, publicly, about, like, you know, going to the gym. And I know it's insufferable to hear about it, but, like, simultaneously we were like, man, like, the most important thing is just getting out there and doing it. Once you make it a habit, it feels worse to not do it. Like, it feels like, yeah. And I know when you first get started, like, going to the gym, you're like, I gotta wake up early, go to the gym. After you've been doing it for, like, 2 months, you're like, if I don't wake up early and go to the gym, I spend the rest of the day thinking that I've compromised my own health and well-being, and it sucks. So, like, you get into a good habit pretty easily. That's like me with streaming and YouTubing. I don't even like saying the phrase YouTubing, because it still sounds like a made-up word, which I guess, you know, all words are made up. But either way, hole up here. Definitely not worth it. I'm gonna... No, we don't have any keys. I was thinking maybe I could try to get Runebag to pay out with a Perthrow, but it's pretty unlikely. This run, by the way, is in such a good spot. I'm a very happy man. Cool, yeah. Dude, very cool. But it's kind of the same way with working, right? Like, I'm not the kind of... I mean, I've been in the habit of working 6 or 7 days a week for, like, you know... 8 years. So, because I don't make a habit of taking days off for any given reason, I think people are like, okay, if NL is taking a day off, he's doing so, you know, because he feels like it's actually very warranted. And that is indeed the case, so, you know, I appreciate it. Plus, dude, I don't know. I'm excited, like, get a chance to make a Mario Maker level today. Got a little bit of time in the afternoon as a result of not streaming and working that much. Still stay productive. That's what I'm, like, every time I get sick, I say the same thing. It's very, like, you know, if you don't talk for a living, illness is different. And I don't mean that illness is easier. Because if anything, like, you know, here's the thing. I have a great admiration and almost, like, an envy of people that do physical labor. I don't know if other people have this, but, like, you know, I was raised in a way that is a little, I don't want to say unfair, but maybe a little snobby. You know, I was book smart, so I was told, like, oh, you know, like plumbing, carpentry, etc. You know, being an auto mechanic, those jobs are not for you. And I grew up believing that. And not necessarily in a negative way. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not a naturally handy person at all, as Kate will attest to. I struggle to put together IKEA furniture. There's a couple of pieces of IKEA furniture I've handled pretty well. But they're like 4 pieces. It's like 4 table legs and a top. And I'm like, I got this. Don't worry. Yo, this is an incredibly lucky run. But I'm like, that makes me, because you know, in the same way that maybe there's somebody that, I don't know, is not scientifically driven, or, you know, actually, you know, as a better example is, like, people who have never really tried to learn how to code think that coding is, like, magic. That in, the fact that you could start with, like, a blank screen, and then, you know, within a couple of hours, if you're using, you know, well, I mean, I'm not trying to make the metaphor, like, too specific, but, you know, let's say you're using Unity or something like that. You know, within a couple of hours, you could end up making something that is not, like, a releasable game, but you'd be like, okay, the idea that you gave me, like, the bare bones of that is on the screen. That's magic. And it is kind of magical in its own way. But that's how I feel about, like, drywall. When people are like, you know, they're like, yeah, we built a house. I'm like, you built, how'd you do that? It's just, like, if you're Amish and you're watching this video, first off, I won't tell if you don't. But secondarily, like, let's say you're doing some amazing stuff. What happens if we hit Q here? I needed to know. I wouldn't even know how to approach that, but I get the idea that it's just steps and steps. But secondarily, here's the thing. Every job I have ever worked in my life, except for, like, the 3 weeks I worked at Goodwill, was not a physical job in any way, shape, or form. You know, at Goodwill, I was, you know, unloading, you know, 40-pound garbage bags all day, or, you know, pieces of derelict furniture and, you know, etc. Ripping open cardboard boxes 24/7, well, not 24/7, but like a few hours a day. And it was like, I was 18 years old. Didn't phase me whatsoever, you know. I was, oh wait, we do have money equals power. That's right. That's right. But when you're 19, I'm not gonna say that you are immune to health-related concerns, because that's ignorant. However, it usually doesn't get better as you get older. Sometimes it will, if you're in maybe a bit of an unusual case. But you know, definitely, you gotta work a little bit harder for it. What's up? You would like to borrow the white box. Oh, you need this? Yeah. Really?
I don't need it, but I want it.
She doesn't need it, but she wants it. I understand. That was an Ethernet adapter I bought for Super Smash Bros. 4. Wait, no, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Because everybody told me I needed an Ethernet adapter. I didn't even finish my previous story, but I don't care because this one's better. I'll get back to that. When I used to play, and I love that game, don't get me wrong. I didn't fall out of love with that game. I just hit the point where I was like, I was at diminishing returns with my happiness, and I figured it would be healthier for me to quit. But I bought the adapter, but never plugged it in because I didn't have another Ethernet cord. But I lied to people and told them, well, I told them a half-truth, which is a lie by omission. I was like, yes, I got the Ethernet adapter. And then prior to that, everybody was like, Wi-Fi, lol, Wi-Fi, lol. People were like, look at how much noticeably smoother it is with the Ethernet adapter. I was like, yeah, having the Ethernet adapter wrapped in cling wrap on my desk unopened has really, for whatever reason, opened up the game immeasurably. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, you know, when I worked an office job, you know, you get sick, you'd rather not come to the office, you know, for many reasons. You shouldn't come to the office because you're going to get other people sick, but, you know, you only get... And this is, like, I don't even want to make this political or based in policy, rather, in any way, shape, or form. I think it's messed up, though, that your job can determine how many sick days you have. Like, it's not like your body can be like, oh, sorry, you know, I was gonna give you strep throat, but instead I realized you only get 5 sick days a year, so I'll hold off until you get a job with a better benefits package. I understand the other side of the argument, which is that, like, you know, people might be upset. Oh, Jennifer has fibromyalgia. How come she gets to take so many days off from work, whereas I'm healthier, so I have to work more? Well, you know, would you rather have chronic pain? Like, I hate to say it, but why you... It doesn't make your life easier to make Jennifer's life harder. It just makes it fair. But you're not making it fair by making both of your lives easier. You're making it fair by forcing Jennifer to come to work through her fibromyalgia like 7 days out of the, you know, the 12 months that she's at the office. It's mess. Have some empathy, dude. Hold on. Brittle bones. Dude, we're just non-stop bone hearts. Use Hagalaz. Beautiful. Great payout. Anyway. I'm not gonna go on Chapo, okay? It's not that kind of thing. I'm just... I don't go on podcasts anymore, except maybe my own. Anyway. Give me Steam sales so I may re-roll it. You coward. Wait, money equals power. This is even better. You know, but when you go to the office, you're sick, you're like, okay. I get everybody else sick, which sucks, but apart from that, it's just, you know, I'm sitting at a desk, answering emails, you know, typing into spreadsheets, etc., etc. Letting all my phone calls go to voicemail. It's not ideal, but it's not that hard. If you work as, like, you know, if you're somebody that does a physical job and you're sick, I feel for you, dude. Like, in a huge, like, real empathetic way, because that sucks. I went to the gym on Friday, and I only started feeling the symptoms of illness on Saturday, but I went to the gym on Friday, and it sucked. I was like, did I sleep like garbage last night? Like, you know, I was lifting less than I lifted, like, 2 weeks ago, and everything hurt, and it felt like I was training in, like, high gravity or something like that. Per throw Yera. I still think we want 1 per throw, 1 Yera, but we're not going to do this room, obviously. And then on Saturday, when I woke up, and I was like, my throat hurt pretty bad, I was like, oh, I get it now. Now I understand. My body was not telling me, you don't want it bad enough. My body was telling me, hey, dummy, you're gonna get sick. I feel, especially, you know, you might feel, like, I feel compelled to work, even when I'm ill, but it's motivated by, like, a weird sense of, I don't even know how to describe it, but I think that a lot of people feel it. It's just like, I don't know. And I talk about this every time I get sick. You know, we just go through sick arcs. Hopefully this one, I mean, it feels like it'll be over in a day or two, but every time I'm sick, I talk about how, like, if you're sick, don't get other people sick, don't work, don't leave the house, etc., etc. Except for obvious, like, emergency situations. But we have, like, backwards health reasoning in North America. And I'm not even talking about, like, the healthcare system. That's not really the purpose of this conversation. It's more just, like, a lot of us, myself included, have, like, a deep-seated belief that is, like, Well, going to work when you're sick is, in fact, not damaging. It's noble. Which is BS. Yo, holy card? Get out of jail free? I don't even remember. You know, well, maybe later. I don't know what to do with those. I feel like I haven't seen that card. In fact, I feel like we should just use it. Just to see if it unlocks something for us. Because I don't think I've had it on this save file, weirdly enough. And it sucks, dude. Like, I'm not saying that I don't know, it is a tight line. Because I do think there are bad actors to some extent. Like, if you're pardon me, little phlegm. If you're of a certain age, like let's say you're over the age of, 25. Raise your hand if you've ever called in sick to work because you were hungover. I did it once. Not on YouTube and Twitch, obviously. But when I was in college, little too reckless the night before, woke up at like, 6:45 a.m. and was like, oh, this is a terrible idea. Called into work and was like, I got a fever, And it's not a great thing to do, obviously, but at the same time, it is something that I think a lot of people have done. I don't know, I wouldn't say maybe 50% of the workforce, but probably, I don't know, 49.9% of the workforce. And I'm saying that that's a bad thing to do. I think that kind of ruins it for everybody else. To some extent. That's not to say you should go to work if you're hungover. What you should do is, re-examine your relationship with alcohol that has you drinking that much on a work night, I suppose. But that means that the people who maybe actually have chronic illness, they feel more compelled, or not even chronic illness, but just like a genuine like infection or, contagious illness, are like, well, I don't want the boss to think that I'm, just taking a day off for fun. But still, I feel like, if I'm 80 years old, I hope that the culture, especially around like work and school, changes when it comes to like contagious and infectious diseases, Like if my kid has the flu, they're taking like a week off from school. I remember, and it's not my parents' fault, it's my fault, because I would just tell my mom, like, she'd be like, how do you feel? And I'd be like, oh, I feel like a little sick. She'd be like, do you want to go to school? I'd be like, yeah. Wouldn't want to fall behind in 3rd grade math class. We're going to go over the 8th column with the times tables for the 97th time. But, I'd be like, you're taking like 3 days, you're taking a week, you're taking something like that. Who cares, That's like work, I get it, if you, depending on what you do, you might be playing kind of like a pivotal role in society. When your kid's in like, 5th grade, it's just like little disease vectors, right? One kid gets strep throat. They go to school for 2 days because the parents, don't want to or maybe are unable to get a daycare, babysitter, grandparent, etc., etc. They infect 20 other people. Those 20 other people infect the parents. Those parents, some of them are going to stay home. Some of them are going to go to work. Then the people at work are going to infect their kids. You're going to get a whole nother school, infected. So what I'm thinking is if you have an infectious disease of any sort, you just end up being quarantined for 90 days. Okay, now see, this is where it's become a joke again. Can I tell you as well, let me hydrate / caffeinate. I did go out yesterday. Told you I'm not feeling that bad. And I know you're like, well, that's reckless. You might have gotten other people ill. Well, true. I can't say without certainty, or with certainty, that I didn't. But here's the thing. I'm not sneezing. I'm not coughing. And I wash my hands all the time. It's within reason. I'm doing everything that can conceivably be done. But I'll admit, if I'd known that it was not just a a little baby sore throat and I was gonna feel bad the next day as well, I probably would have stayed home. But that's the thing with illness, you know, you don't get like a little, you don't get a card when you wake up that's like, hey, this is just, your throat's just a little irritated, you'll be hoarse. Or, hey, this is strep throat, but just the start of it. You gotta kind of wait and see how it develops. But anyway, yesterday I went to the theater and I did see Midsummer. I've been talking about it. And like 2 Isaac episodes ago, I was like, you know, we probably won't see it. And then we saw it. And dude, insanely good. It's, if you're not familiar with Midsummer, it's a horror movie. It's from the same filmmaker as Hereditary, which was probably my favorite film of 2018. Yeah, 2018. And Midsummer is right in the running for 2019 as well. I actually think it might be better than Hereditary. Now, I do need to point out, some of y'all lied to me. Some of you knew I was an Ari Aster fan. And you said, hey, enjoy Midsummer, it's really good. It's not really that scary, though. It's just like a little disturbing. Wrong! You liar. It's a lot disturbing, and it's really scary. It's not scary in the, you know, slasher context, although there is, you know, some gore for sure. And it, you know, it's not scary in like the jump scare context, but it is like it's got the same vibe as Hereditary, where it's like you know, they get this tone of kind of like something's not right. Anxiety's getting triggered here in a big way. And then a lot of movies, and I said this about Hereditary to the point of probably becoming insufferable, I should say. But, you know, most movies, horror movies, they hit you with a little tension, little release, you know? You see Mike Myers, he's walking around with a knife, he's stalking his prey, and then they cut to like a scene at a party. You see Mike Myers, he's stalking his prey, and then they cut to Mini-Me. No, okay, you get it, obviously. Either way, Hereditary does not do that. There's like no moments of levity, almost, in the entire movie. Midsummer is actually hilarious, but also the same way. You're like laughing, and simultaneously you're like, we're all gonna die. It's extremely good. I will say, like, once you watch it, the fact that this movie is in theaters is insane to me. This seems like, you know, when I was 16, this is the kind of thing, the kind of movie you would have to drive like 4 hours to a major city and then go see it in like a tiny theater that smelled like cigarettes. I went to the Scotiabank Theater in downtown Vancouver. They had like nine screens playing Spider-Man. And then one screen playing this, like, incredibly disturbing avant-garde horror movie. But anyway, it's mind-blowing to me. But either way, what I did want to say is, you know, if you're gonna go see Midsummer, based on my recommendation, you should know going in, okay? It is disturbing. I don't want you to go see it and then be like, hey, man, I went to see this movie with, you know, my kid's sister on your recommendation, and she's having nightmares forever now. It's got disturbing imagery. It's an unsettling film to begin with, and then yes, some of the images in the film are very much, you know, they'll stick with you. I mean, I was thinking about that movie for a long time yesterday, even today as well. But if you liked Hereditary, there's no way to say this without sounding like snobby. If you liked Hereditary and also got Hereditary, because a lot of people that watched Hereditary are like, you know, I didn't really like the tone that it went for, especially at the ending. Now, I loved it, but there's a lot of people are like, I was with it until the ending. If you liked the movie as a whole, this Midsummer is right up your alley, because it's got that same kind of like bizarre, absurd sort of horror going for it. I would recommend it easily, you know, with bells on. Go see it. It is very not typical as far as horror movies go, though. If you're going in expecting like a, you know, like a Halloween sort of thing, I'm not gonna say you won't like it, but you're gonna have your expectations in the wrong place. But maybe that'll surprise you, you know? Anyway, the filmmaker, he's a genius. Everyone in the theater seemed to love it as well. I do think that, like, for general audiences, it will be a pretty divisive movie. But for people that would, like, you know, actively see a trailer for this, know the director's previous work, and go see it in theaters, they were like, yo, that was messed up. I loved it. It's one of my favorite movies. It's really good. I know I say a lot of movies are really good. That's because I actively try not to watch trash too often. But like this, you gotta believe me on this one. This one's up there. By the way, you can't, I don't know, you gotta have a reasonable opinion, you know? You can make fun of me for always fanboying over the Marvel stuff, even though they're some of the most critically successful films of, you know, the previous decade. But then if I go see like an independent A24 horror production or Booksmart or something like that, you gotta be like, okay, NL talks the talk, he walks the walk a little bit too. He's putting his $30 at the multiplex for tickets for 2. Anyway, good run. Thanks for your well wishes. Hopefully I'll be back and sounding a little bit better next time. But for now, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. It's a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. See ya!